Beach life. Beach life, man. Look at this. Got a swimming pool and everything. Come a little closer so you can hear me. 40% chance of rain today. There we go. Flip a coin. Heads or tails. So I was out riding on the MSX and I charged it the other day and I left it in the charger. Oh, I left it in the charger so good, man. For hours it was green. It was green for hours. Imagine what was going on inside there. And then I looked at the voltage and it was like 83.9. Hey, long time no see. 83.9. Were you at 84 for a while as well? Because when you charge your wheel and it turns green, that means that the charger detects that it's releasing a very, very low amount of electricity. But that low amount of electricity that is releasing is still pretty good, because that's when the cells will get balanced. And the cells would get balanced at around 83.8, 83.9, 84. You can charge above that. You can go to 84.1, 84.2. Apparently that's what our wheels are, 84.2 even. And then there's like a hard cut there, and then the BMS will take care of the rest. And if you don't balance the cells, then if one cell is at a lower voltage than the other cells, it will stay there. And as they say when they talk about analogies, analologies, is that the army is as strong as the weakest soldier. So what will happen is that all the other cells will be able to perform as well as the weakest cell. So if one cell gets stuck at 3.9 V and the other cells are at 4.2 V, then it will behave as if all the cells were 3.9 V. And this happened to me on my one wheel once, and what happened is that I was riding on the one wheel plus XR and the battery died at 33%. I'm like, yeah, awesome, man. I mean, at 33% I would have like 8 kilometers left, but no, I did not. Yeah, so I had to carry that beast home. So we're talking about battery life, and we're talking about how do we prolong the battery life of our wheels, because we don't want the batteries to degenerate prematurely. So people talk about 80% charging. Charge it to 80%, charge it to 90%, and don't do a deep discharge. So let's start with a deep discharge. Godway says that 3.3 volts is zero. So you can't run the battery lower than 3.3 volts. Well, you can run it to 3.29, the 3.3, 3.29. Yeah, does that make any sense? Yeah, it makes sense. Math. What is math even? So, you know, then you're at 0 and the cells are at 3.3, and deep discharge, you know, you have to go below 3. You have to get like approaching hard cutoffs at 2.5 volts or something like that. So you would have quite a way to go to do a deep discharge. You can do a discharge, right, and discharge it down to 3.3. You can do that now and then. You can do it all the time. I don't really understand what it matters, because from 4.2 to 2.5, that's a chunk, and from 2.5 to 3.3, that's 0.8 volts, man. And 0.8 volts, that's the same as from 3.3. It's 0.7 volts actually. That's the same as 3.3 to 4.0. You know, much. It's a chunk. It's just that the discharge curve will go like this, and then after 3.3 it'll start to go down more steeply. So you can't really do a deep discharge on an electric unicycle. You can do a deeper discharge on a Kingston, but you normally won't want to do it on a Kingston because you'll be crawling along at 5 kilometers an hour and being asked to decelerate all the time. Please decelerate. So when it comes to deep discharges, you know, you're not going to run the wheel to 0 that often. Go ahead and run it to 10%. You know, it doesn't really matter. Sometimes we get stuck out in the middle of nowhere. I was out on the MSX last week. I was at 9% battery and it was beeping. Beep, 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 beep. I'm like, yeah, let's see if we can change those beeps. So I got it up to 45.8 kilometers an hour at 9% battery, and then I got the beep, 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 beep. And I say, okay, I like that song a bit more. So, you know, you can still ride it. They're just saying, it's just a bit, we got some low voltage here in case you're riding high or drunk and you don't know what battery percent you're at, because sometimes we don't know what battery percent we're at because we're just out riding. And then when it comes to the top charge, then they say, you know, yeah, but if you don't do a deep discharge and you don't do a full charge and you just do an 80% charge, or preferably just a 60% charge, then you can get more than 300 cycles out of your battery. You're always going to get more than 300 cycles out of your battery, because what happens after 300 full discharges and charges is that they measure battery degradation to be at 80% of its full capacity. So after you have deep discharged or fully discharged your wheel and fully charged your wheel 300 times, and say I get 50 kilometers on the MSX, 300 times, then that would be 15,000 kilometers. So far I've done 9,600 or 9,700 kilometers on the MSX. So am I approaching battery degradation? I sometimes feel that I do, because I feel like the top of the battery goes away quickly, but the top of the battery went away quickly last year, as I noted in some videos from August or September, and there I had done maybe 5,000 or 6,000 kilometers. So people say instead that you should charge your wheel to 80% all the time, so that way when you've charged it 300 times, it won't be at 80%. But I mean, what's the difference? Then you're just at 80% now instead. So to prevent yourself from being at 80% later, possibly, you're forcing yourself to be at 80% now. What's the logic in that? No, that's like people not living their lives and not allowing themselves the tiniest luxury just so that they can save all their money to buy a nice pair of running shoes when they retire at the ripe age of 65, and then they finally get those running shoes that they've been dreaming about their whole lives. Yeah. So the other day I went for a ride with Monica, and I was on the 16X and she was on the MSX, and then we switched back and forth, and at the end of the ride we had used the same battery, man. And today when I was on this, I was leaning like an idiot as always, because that's, you know, the MSX compared to the 16X. So leaning in there, and then, you know, all of a sudden you're at 52 kilometers an hour and it was windy as hell. And then I looked at the battery and it was like down to 67%, man. And I had done like 4 kilometers. So the battery was down to 67%, and I'm like, damn, man, I'm having a heart attack here, what's going on? And it's just because of the way that it sags. You know, it sags while you're riding. And when it's cold, man, this thing has been through 2 cold seasons. Oh, sorry for filming my crotch. It's been through 2 winters. So now I've done 25 kilometers and the battery is at 66%. You know, I started at 93, even though it was like at 99%, because I fully charged it and balanced it and so on and so on. But then it'll trickle down. It will release some of that top charge. You know, it won't stay there It won't stay there like a glass full of water with water there on the rim, you know, almost bursting, and superficial tension is keeping it in place. So the battery's at 66%. I've done 25 kilometers. You get 66, you add 25, you know, and that leaves you at 91. So 91, 93, tomato, potato. Top speed 51.9, blah blah blah. And I don't feel like leaning all the time on this wheel, so usually I actually ended up on average riding it a bit slower, I think, I don't know, than the 16X. And yesterday I went for a ride on the 16X, and the 16X has 7,700 kilometers on it. And I did 82 kilometers, man. I did 82 kilometers, and I was riding with Tobe, and Tobe has a Nikola Plus. So I spent like quite a chunk of the ride riding the soft tilt back, you know, because I don't want the guy to fall asleep on his Nikola. So yeah, 82 kilometers, you know, and the last bit I was riding home, and I got a nice big fat please decelerate at 35 kilometers an hour when I had 13% battery, and then I parked it and I stopped it and it went up to 20 something, so I could have done some more. But I mean, in the end, when it comes to battery maintenance and battery optimization and so on, the only thing you have to think about is charge your wheel however you want to charge your wheel. If you want to charge it to 80%, charge it to 80%. If you want to charge it to 90, charge it to 90. But at least once every 5 charges, let it sit in the charger. Right? Let it sit in the charger and let it be green and let it trickle, so that the cells get balanced, because otherwise you will end up with a bad cell. And if you want to ride 80% now so that you can ride 100% later, go ahead. If you want to ride 100% later and then be forced to ride 80% later, then go ahead. It doesn't matter, it's not going to change anything. I've had this wheel since January 2019. In August 2019, I bought the 16X. And a few weeks ago, I ordered the Nikola from One Wheel Workshop in Germany. So I ordered the Nikola Plus with a 2664 watt-hour battery. And those are 21700 cells. They are Samsung 50E cells, you know, and people say that they get more charges and so on and so on. But I mean, really, man. Really, 15,000, 20,000, 25,000, 30,000. How many kilometers do you want out of your wheel? And what do we spend our time doing every day? Reading about wheels, watching clips about wheels. This clip, I understand if you watch this clip, because this is about how to take care of your batteries. And I said this in my 2,000 kilometer MSX review. Just charge the damn thing, right? And now we've been writing about this on the Electric Unicycle forum, and there are some well-educated people there, and you know, someone knows someone who knows someone who works with batteries, and then they'll just say, charge them, and now and then balance them. But this charging to 80-90%, I don't know. I guess if you're at 70% and you want to charge it to 80% so that you can go for a ride, or you're gonna like calculate how much you're gonna ride, and they say, yeah, I only need 30 kilometers of range, so I'm gonna use this much battery. I only need 300 calories, so I'm just gonna buy a 4-pack of chicken nuggets. I'm sure you'll find something to do with the other 2 chicken nuggets. I'm sure you will. And you'll find something to do with those extra kilometers. All this damn extra mileage I have. Yesterday was like the first time that I had too much range on the 16X. Because I was just pooped, man. I was pooped. I've been riding so much lately. My left foot, man. My left foot. So I'm gonna try some insoles on my shoes or something like that. But yeah, charge it. charge the wheel, man. Charge the wheel. A lot to say about that. Enjoy the wheel now when it's young and when it's fresh, instead of maximizing the mileage of a wheel that has done 300 charges, because by the time it's done 300 charges, we will have done around 10,000 kilometers on it or more. 10,000 kilometers coming up on the MSX, still the stock tire. And the other day I went for a ride with Daniel. I did 57 kilometers on the MSX and got it down to, you know, 5%, something like that. And I know what happened. I know why I have worse range on the MSX, actually. It's because I ride like an asshole when I'm on it. That's why. And you other guys who have also magically started getting worse range on your wheels, guess what? You started riding like assholes too. That's what happens when we get more comfortable on our wheels. We just zippity-do a little bit more. Yeah, I put some jumpy stuff in there as well. I was at the park the other day in the evening trying to make a clip about batteries. Then I started babbling. So I let a few days pass and I got here instead. Started babbling. So yeah, I'll write something in the description, but generally I just think that when it comes to wheels and how we ride and how much battery we use and what speed and the beeps and all of this, where's our knowledge base, man? Where's our knowledge base? Our knowledge base is in the forum, in sidetrack threads, and in a shithole of posts in the Facebook groups, man. It's a shit show. We need a wiki. Let's make a wiki. So I was at this park yesterday. It's like a few minutes before they were gonna turn off the lights. Lights aren't on now because it's not dark. There we go. That's the time. The time is it's not dark. So I was on the 16X, right? And it's zippy and fun and stuff like that, and it sort of like flies up that little ramp. So it's like, okay, I did it once, died inside, did it again, died inside, did it again, died a bit less inside. And I thought I'd do it 5 times, but after the 4th they cut the lights, man. But you know, I was riding the MSX now with its 9,400 kilometers on it. Got disconnected. You garbage. Got disconnected because I went away from the phone. Or the phone went away from the MSX. So someone went away from someone. But yeah, when I was riding the MSX, and this is the OG MSX, right? This is the 84V. And when I was riding it, I'll show you. It's just like sucking power at the beginning, you know? And it's at 80.5 volts. And I'm like, hey, isn't it supposed to start at 84? It's never started at 84. It's never started at 84, man. It starts like at 83.5 if you really like pump it up to the last second. And then as soon as you take it out and you go like a few kilometers, it's down to 90%. And now I've done 8 kilometers and it's down to 81%. My top speed was 47 and I was leaning and it's tilting me back. That creeping tilt back. That creeping tilt back after 35 kilometers an hour, man. And you just like got this intent going forward, leaning forward, hanging off the front, going forward. Doesn't matter. No one's doing this. You're displacing gravity. We're here, right? you're creating leverage, however you're creating leverage, or it's not moving. That's that. So yeah, man, it's like so much intent to get it moving, but it feels steady, it feels solid, but it fights against you, it doesn't flow with you. The 16X, man, that one does the opposite. It's just going forward all the time, especially on 1.05. It's like it's a stronger motor. It's a 2200 watt motor on the 16X. This is a 2000 watt motor, and I mean, sure, it's doing 70, man. It's doing 70 on the 100 volt wheel, because you know the motor, it's got overhead to do stuff, and that's continuous, and I don't even know what that means, you know. Well, I know what it means, but when you're seeing numbers that are doing like 4,000, 5,000, 6,000, 7,000, 8,000, come on, man, what numbers are we looking at, you know? Are we just looking at high numbers and thinking that we're doing something good? Yeah, so anyway, 9,520 kilometers on this MSX, man. It's all good, it's solid, it's so solid, man. It's solid as a rock. But the 16X in 1.07, the hard mode, it's solid, right? So what does it mean that it's solid? It means that it's stiff. It's stiff. How would you feel if your iPhone bends? You feel like it's shit, no? It is shit. I lost 20% battery, like 3 minutes. So they're different, you know. One will go up a hill, one won't go up a hill. But I mean, when it comes to the batteries, 9,500 kilometers. Say I do 50 kilometers, you know, per charge, and you won't run it down to 0. That's 200 charges, you know. You shouldn't be seeing any degradation. Maybe it's not charging as high in the voltage over time, but I just think that the chargers, you know, are a bit low. They're a bit on the low side. They should be at 84.4 and not 84.0. But let's just keep it a bit under, right? Let's keep it a bit under, because we're fretting, we're obsessing about charging the batteries to 100, because we think we're going to damage them by charging them to 100. So we start thinking about charging them to 80, we start thinking about charging them to 90 or something like that, you know. That would be like me going to McDonald's, buying a 20 pack of chicken nuggets and saving 2 for later. They're not going to be as good, man. Eat them when they're good. Take the miles on your wheel when it's good, right? When it's fresh and when it's new. Just ride the damn thing, man. Ride it and have fun. And there are a lot of wheels out now, right? We got the S18 coming up. We got the V11 coming up. They're gonna do this, they're gonna do that. Godway's gonna announce a mini monster 20-inch with suspension. What do we have now, man? What do we have now? Just get the biggest and the baddest that's out there now, so that you don't have to spend time watching clips like this, man. I could be riding twice as much. If I had a wheel that could handle it, you know, and go for an 80-kilometer cruise and not think about it. Who wants to think about range? And say like, yeah, maybe I shouldn't go fast all the time, because then when I get to 50%, it's gonna slow down, or 40 or 30 or 20 or 10, or I'm gonna get a tilt back and I'm gonna cut off and I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do that. What kind of life is that, man? That's a shitty life, is what it is. I spent my whole life worrying about stuff. What others will think, what will happen if someone steps on my new shoes. When someone steps on your new shoes, they're not new anymore, and then you stop worrying about what will happen if someone steps on your new shoes. That's pretty much what's going to happen. But the more expensive the shoes, man, the more you're going to worry about it. The more expensive the wheel, the more you're going to worry about it. And then you're going to get the wheel and you're going to baby the wheel. You're going to baby the wheel and you're going to baby yourself on the wheel. You're going to be afraid of falling. You're going to be afraid of falling off the wheel. Hopefully you'll fall off the wheel, man. And you'll be free from the fear of falling. So many people that have wanted to learn a handstand, they can't get upside down because they're afraid that they're going to tip over. So I teach them to tip over, man. I teach them to tip over. Tip over. Practice tipping over. And practice controlling the tipping over. And once they accept the tipping over, that's when they start to learn the handstand. Because otherwise they're kicking up and failing by not achieving the handstand because they're doing too little. So we're constantly doing too little for fear of doing too much. Rant, 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 rant. I'll go put this away. GoPro, stop recording. Great, it didn't stop recording.